Every item used in this video can be found in my Amazon store. Please check out the description and click on the links below. This is no ordinary deck video. This surpasses any other deck video that I have done, period. This one is meant to surpass all. I made this to be the lightest, most well-fit, and most comfortable deck that I have ever put in a tiny boat. In order to achieve the lightness factor, this is a 50-50 split between 3/8 plywood and 1/2-inch Coosa board. If you haven't seen my review on Coosa board yet, please check this video in the iCard along with this video to understand why I chose this product, because it'll take a little bit of time. But I will tell you, the both combined together made the sickest, most well-fit, and most well-proportioned deck to lighten it up in crucial spots. So let's get into it. For starters, mass hoard large pieces of cardboard and use it as a template. If you trace your gunnel, it's not going to be an exact fit, but if you just use one big large sheet and you trace it right where it starts to taper, that should be a pretty good start. And if you split it between sheets, you should be able to overlap them once you have both sides in, and that'll fit inside the boat as so, and you can tape them together. And then you can get in there and actually just trace them out. If you framed with angled aluminum or you framed with wood, you can get an adjacent piece of wood laid over the frame where you know it's at, and then trace over those pieces. Or you can actually cut out a little section like this and trace underneath so you can get an accurate assumption. But eventually, between the tracing and the cutting, you'll be able to template it out perfect. Observe. As you chip and cut away at this, it should form a pretty good outline between whatever panels you need and your deck. The front where it tapered, that's really the most stressful when you have to worry about, but once that's done, it's pretty good. It won't be a perfect fit. When you do cut your wood, you'll have to refit it because the wood is thicker overall, so how it fits inside the taper is going to be different, but it should be pretty spot on. Very minor changes. These are for the stationary panel supports. Need something for this side to grip on. 3/8 panel for the stationary structure panels. I'm really trying to get away from cords or there's few corded appliances that I really need. Like, there's a few tools I simply don't use enough to really go out and reinvest in cordless material, but you know, the circular saw is one of those things I need to do. Pretty good deal for like a full-size circular saw. I'm gonna try one of these. Oh yeah. Well, that was that's a good for me. After they're done, simply trace it right on the piece. You might have to underlap one underneath. If you see this, I underlap the other one so you could actually trace all of it on one piece of wood. So they're kind of just one underneath the other, but they're both going to form together. We're going to put a joiner piece in the very top to mount them both. So the initial fit of the 3/8 fit pretty well, but we're going to run another 3/8 lip underneath this to bring the deck even, as we're going to do the same thing with 1/2-inch Coosa board and 1/4 inch plywood. We're going to be doing this by cutting strips as we normally do, bending them to fit. We're going to be using glue. If you have a staple gun, that's the best thing to use, but because I was out of staples, I was using screws. I'm using my little mini portable bandsaw, which is meant for plumbing, but it literally crosses over to everything. I'm just using it to slot this wood, so when I bend it down the taper here, it'll actually bend it. It won't try to break like usual. That tool is in my Amazon store in the description area below, along with the stapler I'm using and the rivet gun. The 3 tools that I strongly suggest you get are the Milwaukee M12 rivet gun, stapler, and bandsaw. They will make your project significantly easier, and I doubt that after you get them that you will ever want to let them go. And so it came out pretty good to hold it and glue it in place, and then we're gonna leave it out here in the sun. It's friggin' 1,000,000 degrees out here right now, so this should dry pretty quickly. That was probably the hardest piece to make. Once that's done, everything else is fairly square or it's tapered in some sort of straight line. Something that Nate taught me about these hatches is if you run a pretty generous lip, the less chance your hatch will ever have of bowing later on underneath the heat and the stress from the weather. I also found that a belt sander helps tremendously with leveling out your hatches if they don't come particularly straight when you cut them. Another big reason this deck came out so nice was because of 20-ounce carpet. This is 20-ounce carpet directly from my Amazon store. I have the link in the description below also. It is much thicker, more comfortable, more complete, better looking, and it's snagless, which it beats bug carpet in every venue. Yes, it is more expensive, but really the cost to benefit ratio is astronomical. It even comes with a manual and its own little cutter there with replacement blades. It actually works really well, so you get everything you need right from the start. It does come rolled up, so you do have to lay it out, and maybe lay it out in the sun because it wrinkles when it's shipped to you. But in the end, after we cut this out here and we lay it out, I just pull and restretch it to avoid any of the wrinkles actually permanently sitting. That's what we're doing now. Kind of pulling, making sure it's going to sit really nice. And then we flip it back over and we do our stapling job. Real quick tip, in the corner there, I cut a little triangular piece of carpet and stuck it under there before I stapled to cover up the exposed end of the carpet, because right at the corner where you have to cut it like that, the wood will be exposed and it'll show if you don't put some sort of offset there. And the Milwaukee stapler is awesome. This stuff wasn't much harder to cut and deal than any other carpet. It was a little bit more messy, but that was to be expected. Because the reflective bubble wrap made such a profound difference to me in comparison, because I would run it in hatches with insulation and I wouldn't put it on my stationary panels, and then you would feel your stationary panels, how hot they were versus how hot your hatches were during the summer and during just even regular hot days out here. And so now it's going under all hatches and panels no matter what. It is a very noticeable and huge difference. It makes the deck so much better. Fun fact, the cooler you can keep anything underneath your deck, to include the foam or your gear, the longer it'll last. Here we are using our own custom piano hinge system. We ran custom piano hinges off everything based on a combination of angled and flat bar and aluminum piano hinges we got that are in long bolt, like 5-foot length bulk from the metal shop. We have brackets on the sides to stiffen that up, but right now we're just trying to fit the deck. About 50% of the hatches on this boat are Coosa board. To include the back hatch we just templated, just a quick refresher, this is synthetic foam board with fiberglass woven into it to strengthen the actual foam board. So this is way better than expanded foam PVC board that you would find at a hardware store. This is legit marine grade synthetic foam board. Now be careful when you do cut it, it does put up fiberglass, so you need to be wearing a respirator and associated gear to protect yourself. The advantage to using this stuff is that it is rot proof and warp proof. It'll last a very long time as long as you put it in properly. Some of the disadvantages to it are it's not exactly as strong as its wood counterpart per thickness, so we will have to run support bars underneath this. But even with the support bars, it's still way lighter than we could have gotten with a wood equivalent. So a 3/8 piece of plywood weighs about as much as this Coosa hatch. So, and it also is subsequently about as strong. So either way, we would have had to run under supports. The other thing that this is substantially better at is flex. This product can actually flex a lot, and there's no cracking or popping or degradation over time as there is with wood. I've wanted to use this product for a very long time, but I couldn't get around the shipping option. But again, with Boat Outfitters, the people who actually helped me get this stuff, you can get a fairly big sheet of it for only 15 bucks shipping. And if you get a few sheets like that in bulk, it's still only 15 bucks. So the product itself is fairly expensive, but it is totally worth it. It's also really good to use as a transom replacement because the amount of abuse and flex in water exposure that a normal transom usually gets is pretty substantial, and that's one of the first things to go. The other thing that appealed to me a lot was its use as a board, so you could use it much like you could use wood in terms of fabrication. So the staples and everything, like what we did, held pretty well. Did it just like we would do a wood hatch. One of the only things that I found a problem with it is that anything that's going to be load bearing or require a lot of actual stress on a part, you can't actually just use screws, whereas wood hatches hold screws really well. So we had to mount these to the hinges a little bit differently. But other than that, everything we did here is pretty much spot on like what we did before with wood hatches. So it's very, very usable in terms of this. I'm dressing up the hatches this way. It's just something I do as a product for the boats that I build. The creations, it just gives it a more of an artistic look and a wow factor. So, do we need to do this? No. But then again, yeah, we do. The only difference here is that we had to run actual countersink bolts and nuts underneath to hold it, because a normal screw won't grip into Coosa the way it'll grip into wood. So, and knowing that, we knew that any sort of kind of screw in would, we can anticipate that that would fail. So we put some screws in there for additional support, very, very lightly and carefully, because you did risk stripping them. But the majority of the support for this is based off of the through bolts. I also did not run any struts on the Coosa hatches, none of them, because I just wasn't sure how well they would hold up. I know in some cases they do fail on wood hatches, and I don't want this person's boat to be the test dummy for that. I will later test that under a boat that I build, and we'll see. But right now I would say to leave struts alone, unless you're going to really run through bolts through those to hold the struts in place. Then that would work. Also, in a wood hatch, something to consider is that you can run a chisel, and you can actually make it to where this is flush mount. But because this is Coosa, chisel's not an option. But what you can do with 20 ounces, you can shave down the carpet significantly to make it fit in certain areas. So if you have something that's too thick on the end, a standard shaver that I got at like Ross, will cut the carpet and shave it down. So we use that throughout the entire boat to make sure the hatches fit flushly and perfectly, and that as you had them turn or you had stuff like this go on, you can trim it to fit to make it look very cosmetically nice. In these tiny boats, we're always trying to skimp on weight to max out efficiency and safety for the boat, but that means that sometimes the strength to span ratio for some of these hatches just simply isn't there. So we're going to have to run under supports. So we ran these under supports out of square aluminum tubing, 3/4, and that stiffened it right up. Can't even tell. And so the co-angler or the main angler, whoever's out there motoring out or fishing off of it, shouldn't have any problems at all. The rod locker and wing hatches were all plywood, and so we were able to use screws there, but we ran 2 rows of screws, and about 1,000,000 screws later, we countersunk with a drill bit because the aluminum was so thin. But doing it this way, it's highly, highly unlikely that the hatch will ever fail over time, especially with a strut there, which is going to constantly be putting stress on the hatch. This is what we did for the subfloor. This is a piece of Coosa board, and we just laid it right in there. Remember, the rest of the subfloor is all aluminum, super thin aluminum, to max out on lightness and efficiency, and this part is right there for the cockpit. And naturally, we put a adhesion promoter on it, and then we put gator skins over it. And then we had to use a roller to kind of really squish the 3M adhesive material in there. And what I would have done if I could have done this differently, I would have just gotten epoxy or some sort of like contact cement and just layered it underneath there before I stuck skins down, and that would have given it a permanent bond where it would never have come up, but it still worked this way. To finish off the subfloor, we fitted and drilled in spot for a drain plug, and we just dropped it right in. No extra waterproofing needed because this is a synthetic board, one of the other advantages to Coosa. I recently dropped an LED video on how to mass wire a bunch of LEDs throughout the boat. This is the finished product because we couldn't actually run the strings of LEDs until the deck was finished. So here we are tying that up. I sought out to make one of the best decks that I have ever made for a boat, and I feel that I definitely achieved that here. With everything I got going on, it came out really well. The Coosa plywood hybrid deck worked out very well. I got them all in pretty crucial spots. I have Coosa in all the main areas where I think a lot of water exposure is going to happen, to include the live well. I just have to panel up a few things here. I got to get the side panels going in the middle of the cockpit. But everything from the speaker system, that is another video that we will be doing here pretty extensively next. But before the debut, we're going to show you the flood test. We're going to flood this boat in the final checks. So the video at the final checks will show us actively trying to flood this boat and get water into the hatches, so you can see why we made this boat the way we did. I've been called excessive, I've been called insane, I've been called manic and told to seek help. Maybe those things are true, maybe they aren't. But I'll tell you what, when you're on the water with this thing, you're ready. I didn't build this boat just to look good. I built it for fucking war. Remember that. Another big reason this boat was so special to me is because it's going to go back to my home county. And it's going to go and mainly be on one of the lakes that I grew up as a kid. And when I go back to debut this boat for the final reveal, you'll get to see that lake. I can't wait to show that to you guys. It's all coming up shortly. Thank you very much. Stay tuned. If you guys like this video, check out my channel and subscribe because, well, I need you. I can't do this without you guys. You're everything to this channel. You're the reason that it exists. Check it out, support it, hit the notification bell if you want consistent videos. Check me out on Patreon if you want to get serious perks in the midst of supporting this channel. Thank you much. God bless. See ya.